And imagine watching the neighborhood where you once lived burn to the ground. That's the reality for a local attorney who came here from London. KMPH News anchor Nicole Garcia spoke with him tonight. Nicole?
Well, even though we're thousands of miles away from his former hometown, watching this image of this 150-year-old store burning to the ground really brought the impact of the riots home right here to Fresno for local attorney Chris Caine.
150 years of family history goes up in flames.
Chris Caine can only watch with dismay as rioters destroy the historic House of Reeves, a family-owned shop that's been around for 5 generations in his former hometown of Croydon.
I knew it well. My daughter was born just around the corner in what's called the Mayday Hospital, so it's a familiar landmark, and to see it burnt to the ground is just tragic. It's like one of those things that you remember and you associate with the time that you were there, and just the idea that that's no longer around is devastating to me, but I'm sure for people who've lived there all their lives, it's heartbreaking.
He can't make sense of why this is happening. Caine can only speculate. Frustration could be the motivation for some in the working-class neighborhood.
And that means there's a lot of unemployment. There's a lot of what are called council apartments where people get housed at government expense. And so there's a lot of boredom, I guess.
His friends still in Croydon tell him they stay off the streets at night and remain inside their homes.
It's out of control, and the police, as I say, are outnumbered.
The House of Reeves survived the Depression and 2 world wars, only to go down at the hands of rioters for no just cause.
That's the tragedy of it. There's no good reason.
And now guns are outlawed in the UK. Police officers are only equipped with batons and shields. Caine says it's the British way not to use force, and he believes using guns in this case to try and control those rioters would make the situation much, much worse. Monty?
Nicole, has Mr. Caine heard from any family or friends or old neighbors from that neighborhood?
Yeah, he says at this point none of his close friends or family that are still there are being affected personally by the rioters. They pretty much stay inside their homes at night when all the rioting and looting is going on.
Well, that's some good news anyway. Thank you, Nicole. And that historic store that burned was built in 1867. It remained in the same family for 5 generations.